Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk a little bit about late stage Lyme and common misdiagnoses. So, a lot of people that get to this point of their healing journey have had many wrong diagnoses or just comorbid diagnoses, which is where you have other complications and symptoms that are related to Lyme that maybe you never put the picture together or your medical providers never put the picture together up until now. So, a lot of the common ones that we see, and this just might help someone who's looking for a diagnosis or on their journey to treatment and healing. I wanted to give a little bit of my own history and then other histories that I've seen online. But some of the most common misdiagnoses or comorbid diagnoses that we see with late stage Lyme would be arthritis, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS or postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome, Raynauds, um, multiple sclerosis, lupus, and many others. So, those are just a few of the ones that I know my doctor really thought that I had, or tried to do testing to rule out, or that I do have in addition to Lyme disease, because over time, when you get to the point of having late stage Lyme, it gets into different body systems and organs and creates long-term damage to the nervous system, to the circulatory system, and you start to have these different symptoms. Some people that end up with Lyme carditis or heart inflammation, they end up with having all the symptoms of MS and maybe even having lesions that show up on an MRI. But some of the newer research is saying that could be Lyme related at the core of it. And so all of that very often goes hand in hand with a Lyme diagnosis. And again, it's hard to pick out if it's all Lyme or if Lyme sets the stage for other opportunistic infections to take hold as well. So sometimes when you do the really intensive blood work, they will find, for example, in my journey, they ended up finding really high levels of Epstein Barr reactivated virus, which is basically mono. And we know from the medical community as well as more naturopathic providers and medical medium information that Epstein Barr is responsible for most cases of chronic fatigue syndrome. They've actually even linked that to MS and to Raynauds. So it's really interesting to see there's common threads that link all of these things together. And again, whether or not we believe in the more Western medical model, which states that Lyme itself is actually to blame for a lot of these cascades of symptoms and some autoimmune reactions, or if we look at something like medical medium information where he thinks that Epstein Barr is more the major player here, and that a bite from a Lyme infected tick or tick co-infections more so triggers underlying Epstein Barr or other opportunistic infections. It's just really interesting to see some of these connections. And so the reason I wanted to make a video about this is because I have so many clients or so many people that I see on their healing journey, and they're really confused because they have this laundry list of like 500 different diagnoses or symptoms, and they just feel like I don't know where to start, right? Like, I know sometimes for myself, it's, dealing with the Raynauds and the pain in joints and extremities and cold and heat and temperature intolerance, and how much of that's Raynauds, how much of that is dysautonomia or POTS. And with fatigue, it's okay, well, is that chronic fatigue from the Epstein Barr, or is that from the late stage Lyme? And I really think at the end of the day, when we look at the more functional medicine approach or medical medium approach, it makes so much sense to go back to just root cause of immune system health and strengthening our detoxification pathways. So part of what I like about the approach that my functional medicine provider is taking, or the approach that medical medium inspired practitioners take, is we need to look at root cause. So what's tying all of these symptoms and disease processes together? And if you look at more of a medical medium model, he believes that a lot of this is our lifestyle, all of our environmental toxins that we're around day to day, heavy metals and high fat diets. And so our liver is really overburdened and our liver can't detoxify correctly. So then other infections are taking hold in a stronger way in our body systems. My naturopath recommended using the CellCore supplement line, which starts with just strengthening your detoxification pathways. and then moving on to digestive health and gut health and parasite cleanses, and then moving on from there to targeting the Lyme and co-infections once the body is able to handle that. So looking at root cause, looking at functional medicine, looking at what is the thread that ties all of these mystery illnesses together, rather than chasing down 10 different diagnoses, and then before you know it, you have like a cabinet full of 500 different herbs that you're trying to take, thinking, well, this is for Raynauds, and this is for POTS, and this is for infection. We want to get more to the root cause, and how do I just strengthen my body so it can then fight off the larger infections that are at hand. And that's also where the blood work comes in handy, because if you can see like where are my specific levels, maybe we target Epstein Barr first if those levels are like through the roof, and maybe with Lyme and co-infections we target the one that has the highest numbers first, and then we kind of work our way down. Because again, not only is it really hard to keep up with so many supplements and treatment protocols, but you also don't want to create a healing crisis with throwing too many things at your body all at once, and then you're not going to feel your best. You're not going to want to keep going on that healing journey. Other things that just support overall health, like doing the sauna, taking adaptogenic herbs that just help you in general with your nervous system, doing the brain retraining, doing polyvagal theory related exercises to keep our nervous system in a state of rest and digest, parasympathetic, so that we're not stuck in fight or flight, and it's just more conducive to the healing environment. But we know from research that that's going to be effective treatment no matter what the diagnosis is. So even if you are still on that journey, you don't have your specific diagnosis yet, and you have been diagnosed with one of these multiple mystery illnesses, right? If it's MS or lupus or POTS or Lyme or whatever, we know that doing things that just support our healing, time in nature, grounding, being in the sunlight, being in the sauna, taking herbs that just enhance our immune system health overall, and working with your providers, seeing what they recommend, all of these things are going to slowly over time help us more on our healing journey. Again, we also have to remember food is medicine. What we're putting into our body every day is a huge piece of that. Now, personally, I don't believe that there's a one size fits all for that. I do really notice that over the years, I've tried everything. I've tried autoimmune paleo, I've tried regular paleo, I've tried Whole30, and I've tried medical medium most recently. And I will say that the medical medium community seems to be so supportive. You see so many really amazing healing journeys through there. And it's really hard for me because naturally I crave kind of the opposite of the medical medium foods, because I think I'm just really addicted to like the sugars and the caffeines and the high fat foods, because having had chronic fatigue syndrome for so long, I know that those foods give me like that jump that I need in my day, and they help me feel more energized, but it's short-lived, right? And then there's that crash. So I will say that on the days that I'm able to commit to the medical medium model of doing extremely low fat, no overt fats, low sugar, cutting out the big no foods, eating mostly fruits and vegetables, I do feel better. So as hard as it is, that is the healing journey that I am pursuing next, is to really try to commit to more of a medical medium way of healing and eating and living, because that's what I personally find that works the best for me. However, I also know people who did the Walls protocol, which is more of a like a paleo high fat kind of version for MS and autoimmune, and did really well. I know people that did AIP, autoimmune paleo, and did really well. So I don't think it is one size fits all. I think our unique bodies and our bioindividuality and our epigenetics is what makes us so unique as individuals, but it's also why it's so hard to find a one size fits all approach to healing. So I just wanted to jump on and explain. This is kind of part 2, I guess, of my journey to diagnosis and my health journey that I had started talking about last week. And I know it sounds kind of scrambled, but it really was striking me today as I was talking to some other people I know that have like Raynauds and reading about it in a medical medium book, and just thinking of like, wow, now there's all these research studies linking Lyme disease to that. And I've had this issue diagnosed for over like 20 years of this Raynauds phenomenon. And are they really truly linked? Did that come first and the Lyme made it worse? Or, it was like going down this rabbit hole yet again of like, okay, there's this diagnosis and there's this symptom. How do I treat this? If I treat this will the other thing get better? And I wanted to jump on and think, I do think right now, being at this stage in my healing journey, there is a root cause. And I think that the diet and the supplements and the detoxification pathways and cleaning up our everyday environment so we're not exposed to these environmental toxins and triggers, and then setting the stage in our limbic system, like I talk about in my brain retraining videos, it all ties in. Like if we can get that good, if we can have the diet and we can have the healing environment and we have the positivity in our thoughts, it's going to set the stage for healing anything else that's coming up. So I hope you all are, doing so well on your healing journey. I hope these videos are helping anyone who's struggling, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you again soon.